My wife is being pretty unstable.
Hey, honeys and hunks. We're sorry. We're just kind of setting up stuff. You get to see the behind-the-scenes fun stuff, really, as Shea finally sets up her internet connection. Are you at anywhere particular right now, Shea? Or are you at your place?
What'd you say? I might have to switch
to
my
phone. That sounds about right.
Yeah, she's totally still in Oklahoma.
All right.
Yeah, I'm still in Oklahoma. Hold on.
While Shea figures that out, just make sure follow us on social media. We got Facebook and Instagram, and on YouTube, Hardcourt Honeys, and then on Twitter at HC Honeys. Just do that because I always forget about it. Get it right out of the way with it. So Jade, have you been impressed with the playoffs so far?
I mean, there's been a lot of big losses. There's been a lot of not close games for the playoffs. So, I mean, it's been entertaining because some of my teams have been winning, but it hasn't been super competitive basketball.
Well, I mean, yes, that's true. I mean, was it last night? No, I can't remember. But Shea, how crazy is it for you to not see LeBron in the playoffs anymore this early?
I love it. I think it's so necessary with all the other teams that are now going to get a chance to show off in the Western Conference. I think it's just necessary, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
I'm also very happy about this. This is an excellent segue because I took the Suns in that series, and I got told, not by you guys, because for our listeners and our watchers, the three of us have a chat. So we talk basketball pretty much all week, even when we're not live with you. And I have a bracket with my boyfriend. And so I messaged these guys. I'm like, am I crazy to take the Suns in this series? I don't really think it's going to happen, but I feel like there's a chance. I felt that there was a possibility. And my boyfriend's like, when has LeBron James ever gone out of the playoffs in the first round? I was like, well, and so I jumped on Basketball Reference and found out LeBron had never been out of the playoffs in the first round, except the year he missed the playoffs a couple seasons ago. And I said, listen, yes, he's never gone out in the first round, but he missed the playoffs. So if he can miss the playoffs, he can go out in the first round. And he did. And I'm so very happy about it. Especially to all those people that called me crazy. It could never happen.
Well, right now, I've been Team Suns because that's my free agent team right now.
Mine too.
In the playoffs.
Ooh,
Shea, who's your free agent team for the playoffs, by the way?
I would love to see the Nuggets, but honestly, I know this.
I know who she's gonna say.
I know this is not gonna be a popular take for our show and us as a friendship, but
I'm getting worried about what's about to happen here.
I might be bandwagoning and have to go with my other hometown and say I like the way the Nets look.
I'll give you half credit because you do live there.
That's what I was thinking. That's
you
the
get
only
half
thing
credit.
Saving you right now.
No,
you got half credit.
I'll
give you half credit because you put forth the effort. I can see that you kind of grasp it, but you could probably still use some more help.
Well, I will say with Harden being out, it is easier to cheer for them right now. Because we've had the whole thing with KD in Oklahoma City, we've had a little bit more time to process it, but Harden is just still kind of like a jerk in my eyes. So it's just hard for me to ever want to cheer him on. And since he didn't play the last game, I was kind of stoked.
My parents consider the Brooklyn Nets the ultimate villain team because they just can't stand James Harden. He's the most pretentious player ever. Kevin Durant, they used to like in Oklahoma City, but ever since then, they think he's become very egotistical. And Kyrie Irving, they've just been meh too, but they get torn with it because Stevie Nash is the head coach, and that's their favorite player. So,
while we're on the conversation of the Nets, we should talk about the Bucks.
Well, let's just shift over to. We'll just get into it then with the Nets and Bucks with it.
Right, we got to just go into that one.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start with the team that we've just on that's been doing great with it. Jade, can they keep up this tempo without James Harden?
It seems like they can. I mean, I don't see any reason why not. And, another thing that I've said a lot is very apparent so far in this season, and that's that the Bucks have a coaching problem. The Bucks have a large coaching problem. They've had it for a while. It's never been more apparent than in these first two games against the Nets.
Would you put it all on Coach Bud, or is this also on the front office too?
It's the front office. Well, okay. The coach has been a problem for a long time. The fact that he is still there right now is, yes, on the front office. They should have let him go before Giannis needed to sign his Supermax.
Yep.
They should have let him go when they still had Giannis locked in for a year. They are lucky that he is as loyal as he is, because I would bet money that 95% of all other players in the NBA would have dipped.
Yeah.
They could have got the money anywhere. Anybody would have taken him. He goes to an almost their team, and they're instant finals contender. So I think the Bucks are very lucky that he stayed. I think it will be less than a day after the series ends and the Bucks are eliminated. Yes, I took the Nets in this series. Before we get the tweets from Woj that Budenholzer has been let go. 48 hours on the outside.
Completely.
I would literally believe anybody on hearing Coach Bud being fired. I would literally believe. I could believe the schizophrenic guy in the corner that Coach Bud did. Be like, yeah, that sounds
I buy
about
that.
right. I don't know for sure if you're right, but that sounds about right. But so Shea, I was checking out some numbers. The bench has been doing really great for the Brooklyn Nets, and when you think the Nets, you don't think bench. Are you surprised that they're stepping up this much?
I will say especially yes. I mean, their efficiency was a little down without Harden compared to the first round, but obviously your efficiency doesn't need to be as great when the competing team looks as bad as the Bucks do. So it's just how it is, and that's what the Nets are looking at right now. The Bucks didn't look good in the first round. I really feel like they slipped by in that first round because they haven't looked good really all season, and what has saved them is Giannis. And I mean, I don't want to discount Drew Holiday because I felt really bad watching his press stuff last night. He was really upset about you know where the current Bucks situation, but when you have some incredible offense that the Nets have, and like you said, the bench players are really stepping up. I mean, there's players that I didn't even know were on the Nets that I'm now learning their names, which is great. And that's what I love about the playoffs, is because it gives an opportunity for us to learn about these people and learn about what they're up to, who they are, and the way that they can play in crunch time.
I will say too that back when the trade deadline was happening, and it was Bogdanovich that the Bucks said they were getting, and then that all fell apart, right? And now the way that he's playing, I said at the time, I'm not sure if they have added enough around Giannis without Bogdanovich to get it done. And I think that's proving to be really true. Bogdanovich, even though he's just coming back from injury, is still He's dropping buckets left and right. He's playing amazing basketball. They needed that piece to add enough talent and maybe they might have been able to overcome their coaching problems with enough talent. Without having got him as well as Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton playing the way that he's been playing, and they look they don't even look like a team that deserves to be in the playoffs.
Ooh,
no, they really don't.
They really look terrible.
They're not fun to watch. And honestly, the Nets are a good team, but I don't want to watch them dominate. There's nothing about the playoffs that I don't really any sport, but especially in the playoffs, I don't want to watch dominating basketball. That's not fun.
Yeah, I've been kind of watching them. If they're not close, I'll pin it on my phone and watch the score. And if it starts to get close, I'll tune back in. But yeah, there's been a lot of this is not competitive. This is not why we watch playoff basketball.
So one of the surprising players in this series that's really helped out the Nets, at least, Blake Griffin, the guy that we all love and stuff.
That dunk.
Oh, yes. That's what I was actually just about to say.
Incredible.
I want to ask you both, is that probably one of the dunks of the year?
Oh, yeah.
And this hurts me.
He got up.
This hurts me because Anthony Edwards has had a couple dunks over people this year that you could Shea, how about you? Would you say that might be dunk of the year?
I mean, not only is it a dunk of the year, but it officially qualifies Blake Griffin for one of the best comebacks in recent NBA history.
Ooh, I like that.
What about Derrick Rose?
I mean,
I think you got to give Derrick Rose a little more. Yeah, I think you got to give Derrick Rose a little more.
Okay. Got to give the former MVP a little bit of a
we have Blake Griffin on the track. You know what I mean? Like, he, in the next couple of seasons, like, he's got to keep up this momentum.
I'll put him in the lineup for that.
And we really didn't think that this Blake Griffin existed anymore.
Right.
I mean, so
to your point,
that it's there.
Yeah, to your point about it being a return, like, he didn't dunk for his last 25 games in Detroit that he played. No dunks. And everybody knows, like, Blake Griffin, you expect dunking.
Because that's all he did for so long.
He went from I can dunk everything to I can't dunk at all.
Exactly.
Or I don't want to. That's what I wonder now.
Exactly.
I'm really curious about that. We know that Detroit is not the best organization right now.
Right.
Maybe he just didn't want, like, you don't deserve my dunks. If I could dunk like Blake Griffin, I wouldn't do it for just anybody either.
And it makes sense because if you aren't wanting to stay somewhere long term, and you're still coming off of whatever he was coming off of, like, why would you waste your recovery time when you can be chilling on your body and your joints and all of that? Like,
and wait for sunnier skies and with another franchise.
Exactly. And then you join one with superstars, Steve Nash. I mean, the fact that it's Brooklyn, I mean, it's not a small town. I mean, Detroit's not small either. I don't want to dunk on Detroit. But
I think there's a good chance Blake Griffin has a ring when everything is said and done this year. I think it's a good chance.
I mean,
I wouldn't really want that too much, but
I don't love the idea. But I think there's a high probability that that's what happens.
Yes, that is something to think about. But going into this now, since it looks like the Bucks are just going to be tapped out,
it's right now for me. It's a question of, do they get a gentleman's sweep or do they just get swept?
I was just about to ask: is there anything, Jade, that the Bucks can do to save their season? Anything?
I think their only hope might be getting to play a game at home.
Yeah.
I think they might get one. I would not be surprised if this series is a sweep, not because of the teams, but because of what I've seen and the way that the Bucks have looked in the first two games. Like, I get it. The Nets are playing at home. It's Brooklyn. It's, but, like, there's got to be some fight. There's got to be something showing that you deserve to hang with these guys, and I haven't seen it.
What about you, Jade? Shea, what can the Bucks do? Anything?
I mean, I hope they at least win one. That's my hope, just because I don't want the Bucks as a franchise to be completely written off, especially considering it's looking highly likely that they might go into some form of a rebuild mode in the next season. So I don't want to write them off completely. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they get completely swept.
Which says a lot. It says, what does it say about almost Miami, considering they just got slapped around by the Bucks?
What happened to those guys?
I'm curious if it was they were just still tired, and also that they all just clicked at the right time.
That's what I was thinking. I think it was one of those overperforming moments where it came together and it worked, but nobody knows why, so nobody knows how to replicate it.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much. Okay, well, the other games that are going on in the Eastern Conference, we got the Hawks and 76ers, got that Hawks get that upset in game one. So they did have to play borderline perfect for that game. Shea, how do you build up from there, from playing near perfect?
Hold on, there's a big ant.
Is that Trae Young?
Oh, good one. I mean, I'm interested in this because I do think that this is a series that it's like a pretty decent matchup. I do think that the biggest difference is the 76ers. We've kind of expected them to be in a round 2 this entire season, right? Like we knew they were going to make it this far. Well, the Hawks weren't on a lot of our radars. And I think that is mentally helping the Hawks in a way that the Sixers, we know that Joel Embiid is known for being prideful and boastful. So, you know, I'm not saying he has been playing bad. I'm not saying he's not a good player. You know, some might even say that he should have won the MVP award. But we do know personality-wise, there is a mental thing in the playoffs that could help the Hawks here. And I'm really fascinated with this. I like Atlanta as a team. I personally don't think I'm going to bet on the 76ers. That game, the last game was too close. It's still 1-0. This is going to be a good series. I think all of the games will be watchable, which is not something that I would say with like the Nets Bucks. So I'm excited to see who pulls out of this because it really is anyone's win.
So Jade, they have a couple other players Atlanta does to step up besides Trae Young. They got John Collins, they got Gallinari, Bogdanovich. I keep on messing up on that one. Capella's been playing great right now.
Yeah.
Who is this X factor that's going to keep this possibly continuation of winning?
I mean, Trae Young is the X factor. He might be the X factor in the league right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's been a guy who thrives under the bright lights and embraces it that much in the league in a while, and I think we need it. And I'm excited that it's
getting about Damian Lillard.
But Damian Lillard is super likable. Trae has embraced this villain thing that
he's a villain. I don't think he's a villain.
When you shush a Madison Square Garden crowd, you are asking for enemies.
Everyone does that, Madison Square Garden. Reggie Miller went like this and
Reggie Miller, one of the biggest trash talkers to ever play basketball. That was not a good example.
But that was just to New York. That was to New York.
But the thing is that the players that are important are the ones that back it up. And Trae Young everybody does it. Not everybody backs it up that way. And I think he's just embraced this. It's working for him.
Well, we know he's going to play well.
All the guys outside of MSG talking about how much they wanted to like kill Trae Young and stuff. It was more explicit than that. But I hadn't seen anything like that about basketball in a long time.
But like we're going to expect Trae Young to perform well. Like we know, but who's going to step up with him?
I think they're going to take turns. I think they are a very well-built team. They have enough reliable shooters around Trae Young that they can't leave him. You know you can't leave Trae Young. They've got enough other shooters that they can't double other people either. And guys like Bogdanovich and Collins, those guys have stepped up. Like when the ball gets in their hands and they put it up, it looks good every time. They look like a great team. That said, my money is on the Sixers because the Sixers have been together to a conference final before. The main guys, Tobias Harris is playing arguably the best basketball of his career. They've got a coach.
Which says a lot.
Rather than a coach like Brett Brown, who will tell the media he wants Ben Simmons to shoot, but not tell Ben Simmons. They've got a coach now that, it seems clear the coach knows what they're doing. A lot of the previous 2 or 3 seasons, people have had really high expectations for the Sixers. I think this season is the first time they're actually constructed and coached well enough to live up to expectations they've had in previous years that were not fair to the team.
Well, speaking of Philly now, Joel Embiid hurt himself the other night. He got a meniscus tear, but he's playing through the injury. How dangerous is this for him considering his injury history, Shea?
I think it's pretty dangerous only because we can, like, he's not really a guy that can play through an injury. It's usually pretty obvious when he is hurt. Just because, again, that laziness factor that we've talked about for the last year is very much there. I mean, and again, not calling him lazy because when you're hurt, you're hurt. There's just some
the mental
that are better at handling it.
Yeah, he can't get in the mental space to get through it. Historically.
Exactly. And that is just like Joel Embiid's whole like personality, to be honest. And I mean, he has really proved and won a lot of my respect back this year. I just like hope that they don't rely too much on Embiid, because I don't know if playing him a lot as he's working through this injury is a smart idea to rely on, because he's not really like some of these other players that when they're working through an injury, we barely notice because
especially only in the second round. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of, presumably every team's goal at this point is to get out of the East or out of the West. There's a lot of basketball left to play, even if they sweep their next two series. There's a lot of basketball that has to be taken care of. If it was late in the third round, there would be less, I would have less concern. But the fact that it's one game into the conference semifinals and there's still so much basketball that has to be played, I think like it's such a slippery thing. And it's a hard mentality as an athlete, because my boyfriend and I disagree about this a lot, because he's one of those guys that's like, good for him for going out there trying. And I'm like, no, like, let me get myself right so I can have 10 more years instead of cut my career potentially in half for 1 year. Like, to me, that logic doesn't make sense. I get it. I get that it's ingrained in sports. You've got your Kobe and his free throws. I get it. I don't like it. I don't think it's good for the sport. I don't think it's good for the players.
Yeah.
It seems like a very different trend, Jade, considering you love the bad boys of Detroit.
I mean, I know. Listen, I've grown up since then. I'm evolving, okay?
I like how you were like...
We have nuance, okay?
But, okay, if you're a Philly fan, they're very superstitious. Does the Doc Rivers curse over the past decade of the 3-1, 2-1 stuff, does that scare you at all, Shea?
Nah, because Doc is I don't know.
I'll go.
Yeah, you go ahead and go.
What about you, Jade? Are you afraid of the curse?
I'm not afraid of it, but I've got it in my back pocket to whip out if they go out.
Doc Rivers is the scapegoat right away. It's not anybody else. It's Doc.
I mean, obviously within basketball circles and the organization, they're going to have a more informed view, but as a fan base, like, if that happens, that's where it's going. And I don't think there's a reason to be afraid of it. I think the matchup, especially against the Hawks, is in their favor. And there's no way they're getting out of the East because that goes through the Nets. So,
damn, that's ice cold. Just finishing right up with them.
We got the East. Wrong.
Yeah. Well, we got that East Coast all set up, and we still got that Western Conference going on. So, go with the game where I actually love the most. Suns versus the Nuggets, because I have the Suns as my free agent team. So if you are where's my notes? Notes. If you're Austin Rivers, Devin Booker's been killing it. If you're Austin Rivers, how do you defend him? How are you getting help from it? What are you doing? Jade.
This is why I'm not a coach. Like, I don't. Devin Booker has been playing. I watched that game last night. I was just like, and I knew Devin Booker was good. I've been one of the people that really, really liked him before it was apparent that he's as special as he is. I've always liked Devin Booker, but man, does he look good. I don't know how you stop him without double teaming, and you can't double team with Chris Paul out there making passes.
Exactly. And Crowder coming out of nowhere last night.
Crowder's been playing well too.
He's been playing so great.
Yeah.
I love Crowder.
Team one player when the rest of their team is stepping up to the plate.
And they're like, there's a reason Monty Williams was in the conversation for coach of the year. They're coached well. Like, they do not look like a team that just added Chris Paul this year. They look like a team that's been playing together. They're comfortable. They like each other. They're just so fun to watch.
Is this stemming, Shea, from the bubble play still?
I think some of it, because I think especially with Devin Booker, we saw, like, that's when we first got to see a taste of what Devin Booker could give us. And then I do think that it is, Chris Paul coming in and having some of that veteran presence, that leadership skill that he brought in to OKC last year, that he brought in here. And I think it's just beautiful to watch this. They really look nice out there. Like, they look so put together, and they look like they're having fun, which is, again, something I feel like we haven't seen a lot this season.
Chris Paul said that in the post game last night. We're having fun. Yeah.
Because it looks like they're having fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's something about that. Again, playoffs is, I would say, like 65 to 70% mental. And the Suns, when you are relaxed and you're having fun, your mentality is there. And I think that's what, especially last night, the difference between the Suns and the Nuggets is just their entire team looked so good. I'm really impressed with the Suns. I mean, I still want the Nuggets to beat them. I don't know if it'll happen, but I do really like watching the Suns play.
I will say for the Nuggets, is that where we're going next, or do you have something else?
Well, I was going to say, so, because speaking of Chris Paul, regardless on where his teams ever rank, with having Chris Paul on your team, does that just give you an extra edge to begin with? Because looking him in the fourth, they were looking a little rough, and then he came on the court, and then just everything seemed to work out perfectly.
I think Chris Paul is just one of those guys that is always going to elevate whatever he touches. He's so intelligent. He's articulate. He's so chill.
Yeah.
Like, even him talking to the media, he is not offended by having, like, I was watching him in the post game, and he's just so comfortable in his skin, and he knows who he is. He knows what his roles are. And I think when you're that comfortable, combined with the level of talent he has, he's just an asset wherever you put him.
Shea, so one big key piece for the Suns, besides Booker and Paul, is DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
Are you surprised of his strong performance in his first playoff experience?
No, because again, the Suns, like, we talk a lot about different cultures, right? We talk about the Miami culture and all of that. And I mean, even last night they were talking about how the Suns just 2 seasons ago were one of the worst teams in the league. And then they seem to be really defining what their culture is right now. And it's really nice to watch, because it's been an organic process of finding some of these more niche talents and putting them together. So when you're able to do that and you're able to create an atmosphere that is comfortable, you're gonna have players that blossom into something really beautiful in the way that we have seen DeAndre Ayton, like, just kind of come out of nowhere, and maybe, and I think we see that with other players, but later, because a lot of times they're either playing limited minutes on bigger teams or more successful teams, or, there's a variety of things. But with the Suns being kind of this, like, underdog franchise that is now able to have that happiness mentality, that fun mentality, I bet it's a really nice place to go as a player who is experiencing some of these NBA firsts, because it's probably really confidence building. Like, it's probably really, I mean, that's the kind of workplace I want to work in. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, happy workplace is the best workplace. So
if we ever get that, but
Yeah, true. So with the Nuggets, Jokic just got MVP award, so he's been playing great. What else does the team have to do after just getting beaten down? What else does the team have to do to make sure that his dominant play is worth it, Jade?
So I think last night's game is a testament again to Monty Williams because they went in with a game plan, they executed it, and it worked perfectly. They were talking about it, and the plan was Jokic is going to get his. We're going to shut down everybody else.
Yeah.
And so he had, I think, 22 points last night. He had 3 assists.
Yeah.
3. And that's not because he wasn't passing the ball. It was because the Suns said nobody else is beating us. You have to beat us all by yourself. And I said when Murray went out, even though they were able to maintain their regular season, that I'm not sure they have enough in the playoffs without him.
No.
I think Michael Porter Jr. is still a year away from being that guy. And when next year, if Murray's back, like the 3 of them, if that's their core in the future, like look out. But with Jamal Murray out, and I watched Jokic, and when he's scoring, he looks great. Like, man, he moves well. But the shots that he's missed, I noticed he consistently missed them short. I think he's tired.
Oh, yes.
You know,
I'm
like
sure he is.
You're
like,
missing, you know, whatever Jamal Murray's average points are. And we have to remember, the later it gets in the season, the better Jamal Murray plays. Jamal Murray plays his best basketball in the playoffs. And I don't think that was a fluke. I think that's the kind of player he's going to be. And I just think it's not the Nuggets' turn if they don't have them. And I had a conversation on Twitter with somebody about this today. And like, I think he took it as I was saying, like, that Joker wasn't good. And I'm not saying that at all, but like teams that need 2 superstar players to get to the finals and to get a championship have been the rule in the NBA for decades. The teams that have done it without that are a handful. There's like 3 of them. There's the Pistons, the Mavericks, and the Raptors. Every other team has been the Warriors or the Spurs or wherever LeBron James was playing since the end of the 90s into the, like we have dynasties and we have these anomalies that get to win championships here and there. I don't think the Nuggets are built to be an anomaly. I think they need both their stars.
Yep. That's a very good comparison with it. So Monty Williams was just nominated for Coach of the Year. I thought he should have won it, but whatever. We'll get more on that a little bit later. Can Mike Malone outcoach this snubbed Coach of the Year candidate, Monty Williams?
Sorry, a big truck with a trailer came by. No, and I think too because like Malone has less elements to work with. As Jade was saying, like, don't get me wrong, there are some impressive Nuggets players that are attempting to help Jokic, but it's just not quite the consistency that is needed to push it to the finals. Like, it's just Campazzo looked decent in the first quarter, but I
really liked him.
Oh, I like him.
The consistency is not there yet.
It's not there because and you started to see it slow down, and that's where, again, like you were saying, like Jamal Murray ramps up towards the game. Campazzo, what's his name? Oh my God, Aaron Gordon. Like they all kind of ramp down, you know. So it's just a different type of thing. But it's like playing chess with less pieces on the board. Actually, no, because that's how you win chess. That was a bad comparison.
Starting with less pieces
it is. Because Monty Williams, like, again, as Jade was saying, like, look at the teams that didn't have, like, the major superstars. Look at their supporting players. They had, like, it was like a balancing act. I mean, I think of that Raptors team. Yeah, you had Kawhi. Yeah, you have Kyle Lowry, who is a literal bulldog. But everyone else was able to pick up slack when those 2 guys weren't performing to their highest. Yeah. The Nuggets don't have that. The Suns do. So how great is it to coach a team that when Chris Paul last night didn't have to really step in until that fourth quarter, and then he scored 12 points like that. Like
and I mean, at his age, if they can do that, at Chris Paul's age, if they can do that, if they can save all of his energy to just make a push at the end, they keep it close. Exactly. I mean, that sounds like a game plan to me.
I remember whenever. Oh. Go, Shea?
Oh, no, go ahead. You go.
I was going to say, I remember, and me kind of included, thinking that his contract that Chris Paul signed a couple years ago, where on the last year he would get $44 million. I was like, he's not worth that. And then now I'm watching him play, and I'm like, he's definitely worth that.
I thought the same thing. Now look at him. I'm like, how do you just do that? He just goes out there and turns it on. It's great.
No, exactly. Well, speaking of some team ball, Jazz and Clippers are finally going to be playing. Jazz team ball extraordinaire with it. So if you are a Jazz player, how much are you going to focus on giving Rudy Gobert chances to score off, or just things to do offensively?
I think for Gobert, I don't think you game plan for Gobert. You put him in the paint, and if it works, you give him the ball and you get him easy buckets. I don't think he's the guy you drop a play for necessarily. I think he needs to they have to find ways to get him offense in the rhythm of the game and not so much as a game plan. Because let's face it, we keep Gobert around for his defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. So does Ty Lue, Shea, does he have the ability to push this team to win? Because they're a really hot and cold team.
No, I don't think he does. This is probably the series, of all series, that I could care less about. I hate watching the Clippers. I hate the Jazz. So, but I personally want the Jazz to win so that this Clippers team finally falls apart. It is not working. We need to stop. It was a bad experiment from the beginning. And honestly, Ty Lue deserves a better team to coach. And so I hope that they keep him on and look at some of the other, I'm not saying Ty Lue's the best coach, don't get me wrong, but I do think that he's working with a failed experiment, that they just handed to him. And then we're like, oh, well, Doc Rivers couldn't do it, so now you can do it. And who could do anything with that team? I'm sorry. They're just not a well put together team at all.
Steve Ballmer is trying to be the new Mark Cuban and getting a bunch of shiny new things. But the thing is, Mark Cuban knows how to scout stuff.
Well, yeah,
knows what he's doing.
Mark Cuban doesn't just pick things because they're shiny or because they're available. He would rather go without for a season or two and wait for the right thing.
Yeah, and Ballmer is just trying to get out of the Lakers' shadows with it.
Just give up. The team, they're moving anyways, so.
Right.
Well, where are they moving?
Inglewood.
Oh, they are? Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Right now, whenever I hear the option of a team moving, since there's that murmur going around in Minneapolis, I'm like, what? Team moving? Ooh. But so are we seeing, between Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, if worse comes to worse and Clips do lose, who's gone first, Shea?
Ooh. Oh. The more I think about that, the harder it is to answer.
No, exactly. That's why I'm I have no idea.
Or do you get rid of both of them and just go straight rebuild?
I mean, honestly, that's probably what I would do because it's
cash in, get some picks.
Exactly. And there's a core element here that is flawed that just needs to be flushed out. Start from new.
I think an LA team is always going to have too much pride to admit to a rebuild.
Yeah.
Does Kawhi have a big ego?
I think so.
I think he hides it well, but he has one.
I thought he used to be the most humble player in the world, but then once I figured out he was getting special treatment of being able to go to San Diego and then being late to practice and stuff.
I was don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah.
There are teams in the NBA that would never let that fly.
Yeah, that's true. But not many players would ask for that kind of treatment. And he's getting it because he's the star player.
They're getting it because the Clippers wanted him and said, we'll give you whatever you want. They set that tone from contract negotiation.
That's a diva thing, though, is that's involved with your contract. Don't you think?
I don't know anybody who doesn't take whatever's offered if they want it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, that's a diva move. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying it's a diva move.
I think the Clippers were the ones that were saying, "What do you want? Well, whatever you want.
I just
do you want this? Do you want this?"
And he's getting everything he wants, like a little child.
Well, to me, is when a child is spoiled and misbehaves, is it the child's fault or is it the parents?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, but
no, you don't blame children for bad behavior. You don't blame dogs for bad behavior.
You blame a human to a dog.
I'm comparing a situation where somebody has leverage to make decisions and how they use it. The organization had
Kawhi Leonard's not a child; he is an adult.
No, but
no, he is. That is just
he's
science.
An adult, but an adult can still only take what's offered.
I mean, yeah, I guess with that, that's a. Anywho, I'm really done talking about the Clips. No, I don't give you a win on that one because I still think he's still a diva with it.
I'm not saying he's not a diva.
That's what I've been saying the entire time.
It's not his fault.
That has been what I've been saying the entire time. He's been a diva. That's all I've been saying.
I'm saying that other people are responsible for creating the monster.
And I'm not saying that's not the case. I asked, do you think he's a diva? That is all I asked. Anywho, Clips are done. We're done with these playoffs. Let's go to someone we all like. Let's go to Luka. So with his series, Dallas did not help him whatsoever. But when you look at the stat line, no one else is doing anything. Like literally, players are only getting 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. And Luka is getting 30 shots in. Does Luka do too much, Jade?
I don't think so. I don't know. I wasn't aware that the disparity in shots, was as high as you said it was.
Oh yeah, it was big.
But when I'm watching, having that information and remembering watching them play, I kind of feel like it's okay. I mean, the guy they brought in to be Luka's number 2 has not been reliable. And I think I think the rest of the team is really good, but I think there's a considerable talent dip between, say, Luka and Kristaps. Talent, not health for Kristaps, but his talent level. There's a considerable dip between those two and the rest of the roster. And when Kristaps Porzingis is either unavailable or standing around at the 3-point line, just standing there, like not even moving without the ball, I think it's hard to feel like I think he's having a hard time knowing what to do other than let me just take the shots because I can hit them.
Because that everything has to be focused around Luka, though, right now for the Mavs, is that the downfall to them? That they're so player heavy.
It's always a downfall when one player out of 5 on the floor has that much responsibility and that much focus. You're always an opposing team with even a somewhat decent coach is going to be able to find a way to stop that. I think that's a lot of what happened. I mean, I'm going to declare it now. Kristaps is getting traded.
Well, I was just about to say, so Luka has hinted at an extension, and Porzingis has expressed frustration with his role on the team. What happens first? Luka getting the extension or KP being kicked out?
I think you gotta lock down Luka first. You can get rid of someone whenever, but you have to lock down the person that like any other team will take him. You have to make him happy first. The person you want to keep needs to be your priority, I think.
Since Rick Carlisle's been with the team for over a decade now, but Cuban has already gone on record saying that they are not moving on from him. Are you surprised with that, considering what happened? And it was a lot of improv in that first round, this round against the Clippers, because Rondo was calling out plays, the Mavs plays. So
oh boy. That's not a good look. I don't understand why that would happen. I don't know if anybody was listening to Rondo. I will say that I'm not surprised. I think Mark Cuban's very loyal, but he's a businessman first. And if the coaching was the issue, I think Mark Cuban has the savvy to see that and the business acumen to say, sorry, Rick, we love you, but.
And I think that's how it would end too between Rick Carlisle and the Mavs organization, and be like, it's been a great run. You've done the best you could do for us, and then even more. You gave us our only title. Like,
all things must end.
Yep. Even the greatest dancers leave the dance floor. Speaking of coaches, Coach Tibbs won the award. Are you surprised with it? Because he won over Quinn Snyder, Monty Williams. I
thought Tibbs was the right call. I thought he was going to get it. I thought Monty Williams as the coach was I understand the respect of your peers. I think Tibbs was the right call. And the reason for that is he didn't have Devin Booker. He didn't have Chris Paul. He didn't have a team that went 8-0 in a bubble. He had a Knicks team that was completely irrelevant, go to the 4 seed with mostly players that nobody knew could ball out the way that they did this year. I think he had the bigger hurdles to overcome. So that's why I think Tibbs was the right call.
All right. Well, that already answered my next question. Was he your choice for it?
Yeah, he was.
But so with this win as a coach of the year, this is his second time. Has this, even though he hasn't won a title, anything, does this establish himself as an elite coach in the league, or was he already there to begin with?
I don't know if I give coaches elite status if they haven't won rings, because that's the goal. And there's lots of coaches who have been great in the regular season and are not capable of overcoming that hurdle. I wonder if Tibbs might be one of those coaches, because his trademark is how hard he makes his teams play. I think the Knicks ran out of juice because they played so hard to get regular season wins, which is nice. It's especially nice for a team like the Knicks, who have had so many consecutive losing seasons. But you have to have something left in the tank, because you have to find another gear for the playoffs. And I don't know if Tibbs' coaching style is balanced enough to accomplish that.
Look at Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
Biggest example right there. Then speaking of other coaches, Blazers and Stotts have parted ways finally. 7 years there. 7 years there. I actually think he did a pretty solid job considering all the different changes. But since Dame doesn't have any coaching demands which is usually really weird. Usually you want the star player to chime in at least a little bit.
He doesn't have a 2 cents to put in there.
Well, he doesn't have any choice, or he's not making any choice. If you're a Blazers fan, Jade, are you worried about this?
So they're not going to ask him?
No, he has voluntarily
declined.
Yeah, he's declined or he says he's taking his name out of what the coaching choice should be.
I think that means he's leaving.
You think that means he's leaving?
I like you're saying it to me, and my brain is having a hard time. Like, why wouldn't he have? How could he not have an opinion? How could he not want his opinion heard if that's where he's planning on being?
Well, and then one thing that I thought was kind of funny. So when Timberwolves got their coach, Chris Finch, Damian Lillard gave the Timberwolves franchise very hard time, because we had Vanderpool there, who was a great coach. He was our assistant head coach. But when we didn't put him as head coach, Damian Lillard just went off on us. Well, now that he can have that quote, coach, you don't hear anything about him.
Yeah.
So then I think it was more so when it was more of, you betrayed my friend instead of a coach that I wanted you. And now that I realize that, then, I don't want him as a coach. But some top candidates right now. So Jason Kidd's taking his name out, but Sam Cassell, who he's always on everyone's radar with it. I can't remember what Atlanta's old coach name was. Lloyd Pierce, I think it was. Yes, he's been mentioned around. Alvin Gentry, he's been mentioned around. There. Can you think of anyone that you would slide into that right now? You could. I know Mike D'Antoni's been. Mike D'Antoni's
D'Antoni is. D'Antoni needs to be an assistant or he's the perfect assistant. He's a great assistant. I don't think what he does is relevant to basketball anymore as a head coach. But I think if you put him in a little niche as having assistant coach responsibilities, he's going to kill that.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I have no idea who it's going to be. I expect that a few more coaches are going to be fired before the end of the playoffs. So, we'll have to revisit this discussion because
this will be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah.
With it all.
Side note, because I'm getting my notes from StatMuse while we're talking. Joel Embiid got 97 of 100 available MVP votes. That means 3 voters didn't have him even as a 5th place MVP.
Really? It has to be the amount of games he played, because I don't like the guy. We've gone on record with it, but
he played great. But he did miss a lot of games.
He can play. He really can. He's this, even though DeMarcus Cousins is still relatively young, but he's like this generation's DeMarcus Cousins, a big man that's light on his toes, that can do it all. But because he's like that, his feet, or even Yao Ming, because of his size and his feet are messed up.
Yeah.
So
I have to revisit. So I said earlier in the show about how I had an exchange on Twitter with a Nuggets fan about Nikola Jokic, and he just texted me and said MVP bye. And it's like, that's not what we were talking about. I never said he didn't deserve to be MVP. I said he can't win by himself, like most NBA stars can't.
No,
most of the teams that have won championships in the last 20, 25 years have had 2 or 3 stars available for the playoffs. So, I'll see how it goes. If the Nuggets get eliminated, I'll have a response for that tweet.
Yeah, and I mean, that could be coming very quickly too with it. Who rings
Somebody's
the doorbell?
visiting.
Who rings the doorbell nowadays? I don't want to go answer that one right now. All right, so one of the other things I want to hit up, because Daryl Morey is always doing things. He had a tweet out. Seth Curry had a career game the other night, 30 points, I think it was. And then Steph Curry tweeted out a picture about it. And then Daryl Morey sent out another tweet towards Steph Curry saying, "Want to join us?" Something like that.
Join them. It was join them.
Okay. Are they making a big deal out of nothing, or am I missing something here?
They're making a big deal out of, the team and Daryl Morey each got fined $75,000. Big deal out of nothing. So, I have a couple points on this. First of all, do you really think they don't all have each other's phone numbers? Or couldn't get a phone number they didn't have in one try by texting somebody else?
He's got direct contact.
They have direct contact with whoever they want to talk to.
Doc Rivers
could call Steph Curry up on the phone, and we'd never know what they said. So first of all, that is ridiculous. But second of all, as a player, I would find it insulting to my intelligence. If I am Steph Curry, I find it insulting to my intelligence that the NBA thinks because Daryl Morey put out a tweet one time, that's going to sway my decision and make me join the 76ers more than what's best for my family or what my wife thinks. You really think Daryl Morey is making up Steph Curry's opinion about where to play with an Instagram post? No. No.
Let's also take into consideration of how serious was he with it. I'm sure he's just if you really wanted to, yes, please.
Right.
But
if
we know that's not a chance.
and Seth Curry decide they want to play together somewhere, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like, Daryl Morey is not going to be able to influence. And so, like, the idea that Steph Curry can't make up his own mind because Daryl Morey has access to social media is ridiculous.
So, with the NBA's did the NBA have a proper reaction to that? Just because Morey does have a history of slightly tampering with things. So is this something that they're kind of jumping the gun with just to make sure no one does anything else?
I don't know. I think the whole idea of tampering is complete malarkey. Like, I know you want to donate lots of money to charity, NBA, so you know, all the fines go to charity. Technical fouls, any fines that are given out go to charity. But like, just write a check. Just write a check. You don't need to fine Daryl Morey to give more money to charity. Like, it's a redundant rule.
Yep.
Right? Like, NBA players are not as helpless as they used to be. They are empowered. They know more about their contracts. They know more. Like, you're trying, this idea of tampering is protection from something that it's not protecting. It's a paper tiger.
Yep.
You put it out there and you say, don't do it. It's not stopping anything from happening. They're talking to each other anyways. And those guys can make up their minds without the NBA saying, nobody say anything else about your peers that you play basketball with or the players when you're a coach. Like, I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, this was a real drop of the ball by the NBA right now with it.
And I mean, I guess technically it's within the rules. Technically, I think the rules need to be changed. It's stupid.
This is a splitting hairs one, though.
Really?
Like, this is a one that's like, you just put your toes in the water, and then they're like, you're not supposed to go on the beach yet. I'm the lifeguard. And it's like, man, it's one more minute until we can go in. Like, really?
Really? You're
really going to do this? Okay. You could have just told me stop, and then I would have been okay. But
yeah, silly.
Well, I think we did a pretty solid job today, hitting up both Eastern and Western Conference second round stuff, talking about our favorite player with Luka, hitting up some award winners with Tibbs and Nikola Jokic, and talking about some usual Daryl Morey controversy, even though it really is not that. So to end it up today, we'll go with our fast break where I usually ask Shea and JAde. Shea obviously not here. Ask them 3 questions that they have no prior knowledge to, and I see if they can figure out the question. Okay. Since 2010, JAde, which 2 players have made the playoffs that are not in the playoffs now?
LeBron James and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Yay, an easy one. Thank you for putting that over the plate for me.
Okay. Where's the other one? Okay, so of the remaining teams in the playoffs right now, we have Sixers, Bucks, Hawks, Clippers, Jazz, Nets, Nuggets, Suns. How many of these teams have won an NBA title?
Ooh. Okay, let me go by process of elimination. Nuggets, Hawks. The Sixers have won.
Mm-hmm.
The Nets have won. No, the Nets have been to the finals, but they haven't won. I'm going with my second answer as my final answer on the Nets. Suns. Is it just the Sixers? And the Clippers won long time ago, right? The Clippers have never won a championship.
Do you want me to go break down everything now?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So 76ers, they won in 83. They had Dr. J, Moses Malone, Mo Cheeks the year before Barkley, which that's really unfortunate.
Wow.
We just got a title, so you're going to show up and we're going to be, oh, my bad. You make me get that. The one thing that hangs over your career, you missed out on.
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
I did not know that.
And then the Bucks won in 71 with a Lou Alcindor, so a pre-Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Oscar Robertson. and then the Hawks, but that's when they were in St. Louis, and they were who was the player that was with it? Oh,
Dominique Wilkins.
No,
Hawks, right?
No, the Hawks. This is St. Louis Hawks in 1958.
St. Louis Hawks. Wow.
George Pettit. I think it was George Pettit.
That's a long time.
No, yeah, 1958 when they are in St. Louis. While the Clippers, Jazz, Nets, Nuggets, Suns, bam, nothing.
That's a really interesting stat because that means no team in the playoffs has won since I was not born yet.
And
I was born 2 years after the 76ers in 83 won their last one.
Like, of all these teams too, so the 8 teams, it's primarily mid-market and small market teams.
Yeah.
So that makes me real happy right now.
You know what I think is happening? Because I've thought about this. Because this playoffs is it's been really open. And I think the experimenting of creating super teams is starting to catch up with the league in that LeBron got lucky that he had it work in Miami. Like there's luck involved there. And then he continued to be great. The Warriors are just a world-class organization and they build titles. And they had bad luck this season. Like if Clay hadn't been hurt with the way that Steph played, with Wiggins stepping up, and like we would have been wondering if the Warriors might make the finals if Clay had been able to play. So they kind of don't count by circumstance, but like the rest of these teams are, for change, these are teams that have been together for a while and either added a piece or added a coach or whatever it was. And I think it's so fun that there's not a team that has won recently in the playoffs right now.
It adds even that much more of excitement because you don't know, like we can't say, oh, LeBron or just like the usual stuff. It's like, I'm
so glad.
I don't know who to go for. It must have. This is probably what it was like when like Michael retired and everyone's like, wait a minute, like
who's going to the finals?
Wait, we have a chance? Hold up, you guys, everyone, go. And then Hakeem Olajuwon's like, don't worry, I got those 2 years. I got those 2 years. I'm like, damn it. Okay, last question. So Nikola Jokic joins 5 other MVPs. In what way?
5 other MVPs. Playing center?
Just 5 other MVPs.
It's got to be a stats thing. Is it a stats thing? Terrible at stats. I have no age.
No.
No, those are my guesses.
They're thinking 5 international MVPs.
Oh.
You have Tim Duncan, you have Hakeem Olajuwon, Steve Nash, Dirk, and Giannis.
I don't know. Tim Duncan kind of means an asterisk because technically those islands are part of the states.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Any chance
you weren't even going to get it to begin with, so.
You're right. My bad. You're right.
Okay, here's just like a quick Blake Griffin thing. So in 20 games, 0 dunks with the Pistons. In 26 games this year, 18 dunks with the Nets. 7 games in the playoffs, 7 dunks.
Nice. Won a game. That dunk was incredible last night.
Oh my gosh, I saw that. I was just like, and like it looked like he barely made like it over the rim too. Like it's like, I got this.
It was one of those ones that you can't not react to. Like,
it definitely wasn't like his old ones where like he was above the person and he was like above the rim. This was just like, I got the ball just enough over the rim and just enough over the player.
But he still managed to make it look like so.
Oh yeah, because he did like the twist thing to it. So I was just looking up stats and I just saw a quick picture of Kobe Bryant, and I was seeing his 24. I was watching a movie yesterday and it was an alternate universe and the kid was in his room. Shout out to Into the Spider-Verse, great film.
I watched that recently. It was really great.
Yeah, in his room, he's got a basketball player with a 28, and it's supposed to be Kobe. because it's 28. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So, okay. On that note, it's been great today, Shea. You can watch this, and we can say bye to her. But on that note, we will see you later with more antics, more fun, and more basketball talk. Bye.